Is it recording? Better be. It is, what's the date today? It's July 12, 2026 at approximately 3:30 p.m. It's been quite, I believe it's been about 2 weeks since I read the Bible. Last week, I believe I skipped it, and the other week before that, I didn't feel good. I feel a lot better now, finally getting back into the Bible. I know that for the past 2 weeks, I've been lazy with the Bible because last week I just took a break. I felt like I needed it. Alright, let's get into it. Moses and the burning bush. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the desert and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see the strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here I am. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. And then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And this Moses hid his face, because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of the slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. I can't pronounce that. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God said, I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. Moses said to God, Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, The God of your fathers has sent to me. And they ask me, What is his name? And then what shall I tell them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you are. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, Say to the Israelites, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, the name by which I am to be remembered from generation to generation. Go assemble the elders of Israel and say to them, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, appeared to me and said, I have watched over you and have seen what has been done to you in Egypt, and I have promised to bring you up out of your misery in Egypt into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, and Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. The elders of Israel will listen to you, And then you and the elders are to go to the king of Egypt and say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the desert to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand compels him. So I will stretch out my hand and strike the Egyptians with all the wonders that I will perform among them. After that he will let you go, and I will make the Egyptians favorably disposed toward this people, so that when you leave you will not go empty-handed. Every woman is to ask her neighbor and any woman living in her house for odd articles of silver and gold, and for clothing, which you will put on your sons and daughters, and so you will plunder the Egyptians. Question time. I'm going to answer these questions right now. Focus. Is it focusing? Camera's not focusing. It's not focusing. It's not focusing. That's so weird. Is it focusing? Focus. My camera's not focusing. See that? Oh, that was weird. Okay. Getting to answer these questions right now, silently to myself, and I'll put a screenshot right here. Oh, how would you feel if you saw a bush that was on fire but wasn't burning up? Amazed and curious. Honestly, if I was Moses, I would just walk away. He did a good thing. If I was in his shoes, or if I was in his sandals, I would leave. You know, why do you think God used a burning bush to get Moses' attention? It would add a lot to movies like the Ten Commandments. It would help Moses remember his calling later when he needed to. The fire emphasized how holy the event was. God demonstrated his power by the bush not burning up. And then the fire emphasized how holy the event was. If you had been Moses, what would you have thought about this event? I must have eaten too many anchovies. What the heck? Why does God want me for this? Yeah. God, don't talk to me about your problems. God, I am your humble servant. If I were in Moses' sandals, I would share his concern of what others think. Not wondering, fear of looking God in the eye. Sense of inadequacy? Yeah. Removing who? In reverence in removing what? In terms of fulfilling God's calling, Moses was unemployed at this time. How have you dealt with being unemployed? How can you relate to Moses being asked to take a job with which he hasn't been comfortable? He was unemployed. How do you feel about being unemployed? I mean, not good. Kitty! Stop! Kitty! Kitty! It's okay. She heard there's a kid riding an e-bike and they're making noise. Candy got mad because it woke her up. How can you relate to Moses being asked to take a job? How can you relate to Moses being asked to take a job with which he wasn't comfortable? If someone offered me a job with me being unemployed, I would be ecstatic. I would be... Kitty! I would be jumping to the moon, but it also depends on what job too. Because with my health conditions, I can't just do any job. But I do relate to Moses being unemployed. I really do. I guess God sent a calling to Moses, sent him a sign, gave him a reason. I'm trying to get my dog to shut up. Because the neighbors are complaining that my dog's been barking, so. What has been God's call in your life? No, I was just talking about that actually. We were just talking about calling. What would it take to get your attention and commitment to invest yourself in a new mission in life? What has been God's call in your life? I haven't had any sign from God. I don't know how to answer that question. What would it take to get your attention and commitment to invest yourself in a new mission in life? I mean, I already have a mission. It's my YouTube channel, Becoming Better, my self-improvement channel. I'm already committed to my goals in life. I'm already committed to who I want to become in life. But in terms of God's calling, I don't recall God ever talking to me, so I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know how to answer this question, and I'm being honestly. I'm not trying to be, what's the word? I can't find the word for it. There's one thing I have to do is I have to learn how to expand my vocabulary. What has the burning bush God's attention getter been in your life? A personal struggle with God. A near the disaster, frustrated plans. I would just say maybe frustrated plans of my goals are not happening as quickly as I want them to be. What is God's name to you? What is God's name? Oh, what does his name mean to me? God. I think of power when I think of God. Maybe I'm just not that deep into the Bible, or religion is not for me. Christianity is just not for me. I don't really know how to answer that question. Maybe Christianity is not in the cards for me. When I think of God, I don't find him loving. I don't find him forgiving or tough. I just see him as a God. I mean, he's one of everything. Because he literally destroyed the earth again after he created it. He created the heavens and the earth, and then he literally created Noah's Ark. Well, he told Noah to make an ark, but he literally caused the floods because he wanted to start all over again. So that's pretty rough. I mean, it's pretty tough. I mean, he has that much power to destroy the world. I would say all the above, actually. So for this question on number 8, I picked all the above. I believe that's the most appropriate answer is all the above. How would you describe your relationship with God right now? A burning bush, a flickering shrub, a few warm coals from the past, ashes in the wind. I'm gonna create my own and say a light bulb. Light bulb that's flickering. Who describes the relationship with God as a burning bush? Who describes the relationship? I picked a light bulb that flickers because my idea of God is there. You know, I'm showing up and reading the Bible, but the light bulb is not on. The light bulb is off. In terms of me believing in God, if the light bulb is on, that means I have my whole faith in God. And with this, the light bulb is flickering in terms of questioning God, not believing in Him yet, but still showing up. I guess I could also do a flickering shrub because that's almost the same thing as the light bulb. Now, how can this group pray for me that I find God? They can pray for me that I can find faith in God. I haven't found Him yet. Number 4. Okay, signs of Moses. Moses answered, "What if they do not believe me or listen to me and say the Lord did not appear to you?" And then the Lord said to him, "What is that in your hand?" "A staff," he replied. The Lord said, "Throw it on the ground." Moses threw it on the ground and it became a snake, and he ran from it. And then the Lord said to him, "Reach out your hand and take it by the tail." So Moses reached out and took hold of the snake, and it turned back into a staff in his hand. "This," said the Lord, "is so that they may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you." And then the Lord said, "Put your hand inside your cloak." So Moses put his hand into his cloak, and when he took it out, it was leprosy? What? Leprous, like snow? "Now put it back in your cloak," he said. So Moses put his hand back into his cloak, and when he took it out, it was restored like the rest of his flesh. Wow. And then the Lord said, "If they do not believe you or pay attention to the first miraculous sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not believe these 2 signs or listen to you, take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. The water you take from the river will become blood on the ground." Moses said to the Lord, "O Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken in your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." The Lord said to him, "Who gave man his mouth? Who makes him deaf or mute? Who gives him sight or makes him blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will help you speak, and he will teach you what to say." But Moses said, "O Lord, please send someone else to do it." And then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, "What about your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and his heart will be glad when he sees you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. I will help both of you speak, and he will teach you what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth, and as if you were God to him. But take this staff in your hand so he can perform miraculous signs with it." More questions again. More questions. I'm going to answer these questions. There's a plane. What do Moses' objections sound like to you? Low self-esteem. I don't know how to talk. I mean, I grew up with a stutter. I don't have it anymore. Sort of don't have it anymore because I studied and practiced. And I do know what it feels like. You know, that sounds something of low self-esteem, low confidence. I would say dare and honest concerns would be one. genuine humility. Yeah. If you were Moses, and how would you have felt when God said he was sending you to lead the people of Israel out of slavery in Egypt? I would poop my pants. I would be scared. I would be me. If God said that, I would be really me. With what money? With what resources? Why are they going to listen to me? I would not be excited. I would be, man, this is a lot of work. What do you think was the point of the miraculous signs? God was showing Moses objection about people not believing him. God, I don't think he was showing off. God was demonstrating his power to Moses. Yep. God was transferring his power to Moses. You know what? No, I don't think so. Where do you find it most difficult to speak? To God? Because I don't believe in him yet. I find it difficult. Just one of the reasons is because of my sexuality. Public? Yeah, sure, why not in public? I'm scared to talk. Everyone's scared to talk in public. If I'm talking in front of the camera like I'm now, I'm not scared. But face to face. Yeah. Do you think Moses was more uncertain of himself or God? I think he was more uncertain of himself. Just because he says, I'm slow of speech and tongue. Who's going to teach me how to talk? But I do get the feeling that he was uncertain of God in terms of who's going to, believe me. Actually, no, he wasn't really uncertain of God because he said, who's going to believe me? He didn't say, who's going to believe in you? He said, who's going to believe me? He was uncertain of himself. What is the hardest thing God has asked you to do? Believe in him? Or not be gay? I mean, that's a plus. The hardest thing God has asked me to do is to follow in his footsteps like the others and not to be gay. I mean, God has never asked me to do anything because I have never heard his voice. But just from judging from being a Christian, or knowing my mom Christian and knowing the Bible, and there's just common factors, common rules that people have to follow by, like believing in God and not be a lesbian. How can you relate to Moses' uncertainty about God's will? How much of the uncertainty is honest searching, and how much of it is making excuses? I do not have uncertainty about God's will. I find it hard to love God, knowing that when I die, he will never love me for who I am. But if we're talking about Jesus Christ, I would have to say, and then yes, because I haven't got to the New Testament yet, nor have I read the whole Bible in my life, but just from, through the grapevine, no pun intended, just through rumors, it seems as if Jesus is more forgiving, more caring, and then God, whereas God, he has strict rules, whereas Jesus is, okay, you can become a homosexual, but forgiveness, I do have uncertainty of what's the point if I do believe in God when I'm just gonna go to hell anyway when I die. I'm not making any excuses of reading the Bible. Here I am. Although I do remember 2 weeks ago I was not feeling well. I went 1 week without reading the Bible. I know. But I'm not really making any excuses of reading or not reading the Bible. I'm going to complete this challenge in its entirety. Whether it takes me 10 years, 5 years, or till the day that I die, I will finish the whole Bible. What gifts has God given you? Oh, what excuses do you use for failing to use your gifts more than you do? maybe I'm not seeing the symbolism. Maybe I'm not seeing the metaphor. Maybe I'm not just seeing it in general. Like I said before, God has never spoke to me. I don't know what my calling is. I don't know what my gift is. But if we are looking at this outside of God and what gifts has life given you, what gifts has blah 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 given me, I would say I'm very fortunate to live with my parents because they are financially capable. I never have to worry about food in that sense. God has given me the ability to have big aspirations in life in terms of my goals in life. People say that God saved me, Jesus saved me. In a way, self-improvement saved me. Self-improvement is my religion. If it wasn't for self-improvement, I would have never even started reading the Bible. But it's a full circle effect because God has gave me the ability to do self-improvement. I had to take a break for a second. Resuming. Yeah, but just going back to self-improvement, I think it was a sign from God as well. Because I remember one day, about 4 years ago, I was on YouTube, rock bottom, and something compelled me to watch a video that popped on my home feed. How to self-improve by Hamza, something, and told me to click on it, and I did. How do you feel God? How do you feel God has responded to your lack of confidence? I'm not aware of it. Oh, look at my dog! Look at my dog! Look at my dog! Look at my dog! I'm not aware of any response, but I'm also with anger. I don't feel like he's angry with me. I guess with patience, with hope and love. I don't know if God loves me or not. I don't know. I know that God wants to help me because he always wants to help people. But I don't want to not be gay. Like, it's just who I am. I'm always going to be gay. I don't want to repent. I don't want to force myself not to become happy. So I don't know if he does love me or not, but I know that he's being patient, and I know God wants to help everyone. He wants to help everyone. What would it take for you to step out in faith and follow God's call on your life? Take it to step out in faith and follow God's call on your life. I want to have both. That's the thing. I don't want to. Can I have both? Can I be gay and believe in God? Can I be both? You see that? What would it take for you to step out in faith and follow God's call on your life? Can I be both? Can I be both insane? Can I be both Alyssa and be Moses at the same time? How can this group pray for me? This group can pray for me, and you just prayed for me not too long ago. I guess we can pray together in terms of finding financial success. It feels like every single video of me reading the Bible turns out into some plethora of me talking about financial problems. I pray that all of us is going to be financially comfortable in the future. Life's hard. Life is particularly hard for me right now, financially speaking. Moses returns to Egypt, and then Moses went back to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, "Let me go back to my own people in Egypt to see if any of them are still alive." Jethro said, "Go, and I wish you well." Now the Lord said to Moses in Midian, "Go back to Egypt, for all the men who wanted to kill you are dead." So Moses took his wives and sons, put them on a donkey, and started back to Egypt. And he took the staff of God in his hand. The Lord said to Moses, "When you return to Egypt, see that you perform before Pharaoh all the wonders I have given you the power to do. But I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go." Let my people go, yeah. I have given you the power to do so, but I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. And then say to Pharaoh, "This is what the Lord says. Israel is my firstborn son, and I told you, let my son go, so he may worship me. But you refuse to let him go, so I will kill your firstborn son." At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it. "Excuse me? Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me," she said, so the Lord let him alone. At the time she said bridegroom of blood, referring to circumcision. The Lord said to Aaron, "Go into the desert to meet Moses." So he met Moses at the mountain of God and kissed him. And then, it's so windy out, this page is... Oh! God kissed him, and then Moses told Aaron everything the Lord had sent him to say, and also about all the miraculous signs that he had commanded him to perform. Moses and Aaron brought together all the elders of the Israelites, and people told them everything the Lord had said to Moses. He also prepared the signs before the people, and they believed. And when they heard that the Lord was concerned about them and had seen their misery, they bowed down and worshipped. What the heck is this line? Do you see that line? Flint knife to cut off his son's foreskin and touched Moses with it? What does that even mean? Bricks without straw, chapter 5. Afterward, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go so that they may hold a festival in me in the desert." Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord, that I should obey him and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go." And then they said, "The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Now let us take a 3-day journey in the desert to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, or may he strike us with plagues or with the sword." But the king of Egypt said, "Moses and Aaron, why are you taking the people away from their labor? Get back to your work." And then Pharaoh said, Look, the people of the land are now numerous, and you are stopping them from working. The same day Pharaoh gave his order to the slave drivers and foremen in charge of the people. You are no longer to supply the people with straw for making bricks. Let them go and gather their own straw. But require them to make the same number of bricks as before. Don't reduce the quota. They are lazy. This is why they are crying out. Let us go and sacrifice to our God. Make the work harder for the men so that they keep working and pay no attention to lies. And then the slave drivers and the foremen went out and said to the people, This is what Pharaoh says. I will not give you any more straw. Go and get your own straw wherever you can find it. But your work will not be reduced at all. So the people scattered all over Egypt to gather stubble to use for straw. The slave drivers kept pressing them, saying, Complete the work required for you for each day, just as when you had straw. The Israelite foremen appointed by Pharaoh's slave drivers were beaten and were asked, Why didn't you meet your quota of bricks yesterday or today as before? Then the Israelite foremen went and appealed to Pharaoh, Why have you treated your servants this way? Your servants are given no straw, yet we are told to make bricks. Your servants are being beaten, but the fault is with your own people. Pharaoh said, Lazy, that's what you are, lazy. That is why you keep saying, Let us go and sacrifice to the Lord. Now, get to work. You will not be given any straw, yet you must produce your own full quota of bricks. The Israelite foremen realized they were in trouble when they were told, You are not to reduce the number of bricks required for you for each day. When they left Pharaoh, they found Moses and Aaron waiting to meet them. And they said, May the Lord look upon you and judge you. You have made us a stench to Pharaoh and his officials, and have put a sword in their hand to kill us. God's promised deliverance. Moses returned to the Lord and said, O Lord, why have you been trouble upon this people? Is this why you sent me, ever since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name? He has brought trouble upon his people, and you have not rescued your people at all. Questions again. Wow, there's all kinds of questions. I'm going to answer these questions. What do you think was Moses' mood as he approached Pharaoh? Well, knowing that these people were being abused, I would be scared. Oh yeah, I would be fearful. And person, if you were a Hebrew slave, how would you have felt about Pharaoh's response in 6 through 9? I would just be pissed. I would be angry at Pharaoh. With everything seems to go wrong, what do? Kick the dog? What the hell? Who said that is abuse. I cry. I work harder. And then pet my dog. I would say pet my dog. Not kick the dog, pet my dog. What do you think God expects of you when you suffer injustice? Not to get mad. God, the whole point of being a Christian, I don't know if it's just the Christian, but the whole point of reading the Bible is to stay calm, no matter what happens. It is not an eye for an eye, it's to stay calm no matter what happens. I would say all the above with this one. Never get angry. When you feel yourself getting angry, don't get angry. How is this story like the stress in your life? What expectations cause you the most stress? My parents. My own. What effect are the tyrants, injustice, and frustrations in your life having on your relationship and daily walk with God? I don't really think it's affecting my ability to believe in God at all, so I'm just gonna skip that one. I'll go to 8. In the past week, would you describe yourself as encouraged or discouraged? Discouraged. Explain why you feel that way. I'm unemployed. I'm 25. I have no money. My parents are angry at me because I don't have a job. They want me to move out. They don't like my dogs. I'm a lesbian. Yeah. I graduated college. I have a college degree, and I still can't find a job. These are my questions. How is this story like the stress in your life? I picked every day. It's the same old grind. I do the same things every day. Same old grind, and then I don't have the time to get everything done. I have so many goals in life: play guitar, piano, study Korean, read Bible, film, edit YouTube videos, apply for a job, go to job interviews and get denied, spend time with my dogs, make money online somehow, some way. I wish I had more time. I wish I had. What expectations cause you the most stress? My parents and my own. How can this group encourage you through prayer? Just the same thing. I pray that we all becomes financially successful. Yeah. Number 6, and then the Lord said to Moses, how will you see what I will do to Pharaoh? Because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. Because of my mighty hand, he will drive them out of this country. God also said to Moses, I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty. But my name, the Lord, I did not make myself known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, where they lived as aliens. Moreover, I have heard the groaning of the Israelites whom the Egyptians are enslaving, and I have remembered my covenant. Therefore say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. I will free you from being slaves to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. And then you will know that I am the Lord your God, who brought you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians, and I will bring you to the land I swore with uplifted hand to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you as a possession. I am the Lord. Moses reported this is the Israelites, but they did not listen to him because of their discouragement and cruel bondage. And then the Lord said to Moses, go tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to let the Israelites go out of his country. But Moses said to the Lord, if the Israelites will not listen to me, why would Pharaoh listen to me, since I speak with faltering lips? Family record of Moses and Aaron. Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron about the Israelites, and Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and he commanded them to bring the Israelites out of Egypt. They were the heads of their family. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn son of Israel, were Hanok and Peloh, Hezron, and Carmi. These were the clans of Reuben. The sons of Simon were Jimal, Jamin, Onad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shoal. The sons of Canaanite women. These were the clans of Simon. These were the names of the sons of Levi according to their records: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Levi lived 137 years. The sons of Gershon by clans were Libni and Shibni. The sons of Kohath were Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uziel. Kohath lived 133 years. The sons of Merari were Mala and Mushi. They were the clans of Levi according to their records. I'm reading this whole paragraph of names that I don't know how to pronounce. They were the clans of Levi according to their records. Abram married his father's sister, Jobed, who bore him Aaron and Moses. Abram lived 137 years. The sons of Ishar were Korah, Nepheg, and Zikri. The sons of Irzol were Mishmal, Elaphat, and Sithri. Aaron named Elisheba, daughter of Abinadab and sister of Nahshon, and she bore him Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. The sons of Korah were Asar, Eliknah, and Abasab. These were the Korah half-clans. Eleazar, son of Aaron, married one of the daughters of Putel, and she bore him Phinehas. These were the heads of the Levite families, clan by clan. It was the same Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said, "Bring the Israelites out of Egypt by their divisions." They were the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, about bringing the Israelites out of Egypt. It was the same Moses and Aaron. Aaron to speak for Moses. Now when the Lord spoke to Moses in Egypt, he said to him, "I am the Lord. Tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, everything I tell you." But Moses said to the Lord, "Since I speak with faltering lips, why would Pharaoh listen to me?" Okay, I'm going to end it there. So before I end it there, we're going to answer the questions again. Even more questions. More questions. I'm going to just quickly go through this. I'm really kind of tired right now. How would you describe Moses as he approached God at the beginning of the story? Confused. If you were in Moses' sandals, what would you have done? Going back to shepherding, dude. If I seen a bushfire, I would leave. But also, I would be excited about God's plan as well. If you were Moses, what would have been your reaction to what God said? God said it, I believe it. You know, to be honest with you, if God said something to me, I would believe it, because he's God. God said it, so I believe it. Do you ever get frustrated or impatient with God like Moses did? I get frustrated, but not in terms of believing in God. I more of get frustrated as to my goals in life. Like, man, I only got 10 views on this YouTube video. Like, oh man. Like the Israelites, do you have a hard time trusting God? Yeah, I do have a hard time trusting God. Yeah, actually, I do have a hard time trusting God, actually. I actually do, because of my sexuality. Is it focusing? Yeah. I do feel like it's hard for me to believe in God, to trust in him, because of the things that I've known and read. What is your greatest anxiety about your life right now? I did 5. What is your greatest anxiety in life right now? My greatest anxiety is getting stuck where I'm at right now. Failing to meet quotas or deadlines in terms of my goals in life. I have the fear of failing my family, and then I picked other failing myself and me not achieving my goals. When do you worry the most? Every day. Every day when I'm awake 24 hours. This is a dumb question. When do you worry the most? At work, or school, at home, at night? Every day of my life when I'm awake. I'm worrying about life right now. When has it been the most difficult for you to believe in God's promises? That I'm gay. When have God's promises been all that's kept you going? I don't know how to answer that because God has never given me like a promise before. But when has it been the most difficult? Every day. I do have to say that as a kid, it was more difficult believing in God when I was a kid. Just because the last thing you want to do when you're 8 years old is reading the Bible on a Sunday afternoon when you could be watching TV because school starts again on Monday. You know, like the last thing you want to do is go to church at 8 o'clock in the morning. I have a bad relationship with the Bible as a kid. If I didn't read the Bible, I mean, you guys know about if you watch all of these videos, if I talked about it or not, but if you're the first time listening / watching, as a kid, if I was forced to read the Bible. Like, for example, there were multiple occasions where on a Saturday morning, my mom would force me to read the Bible. I don't know how she does it. She loves God. She literally would read the Bible 8 hours a day. She would only get up from the chair to go to the bathroom. I don't know how she did it. And so she forced me to read the Bible for so many hours, sit in a chair and read the Bible out loud. And then she would answer me questions. And then if I answered them wrong or I didn't, view it in the same perspective she did, I would get beat. And then Sundays, every Sunday going to church. And I was there from 8 a.m. to about 5 p.m. because my mom was the first one sort of the first one to arrive, but she was always like the last couple of people to leave. And as a kid, when you're 8 years old, younger, that's the last place you want to go. I just always had a bad connection with church and the Bible and arguments with my mom of needing to put on a dress because you look like a girl. Don't wear that clothes to church because you're not a guy. Why can't I wear these shoes? Why can't I have to wear these shoes to church? Most of my memories come from me having to look like a girl when I go to church. On Sundays, most of our arguments were in the car to church, of my mom finding out that I did not wear the shoes that she wanted me to wear, or blah blah blah. Or the Sunday school teacher talked to my mom saying that I didn't interpret the Bible in this sort of way and blah blah blah, and how that I need to dress more appropriately when I go to church. When I was younger, believing in God was very, very difficult for me. Not so much believing, but just the act of going to church. I hated every minute of it. I really did. Because not only was I at church, throughout the week, I would have to read the Bible. I was forced to read the Bible. My mom would just force me to read like a chapter in the book, and she told me to read it out loud. And then if I didn't do it, because sometimes I just said no, I don't want to do it. Like, honestly, I did, and I would get beat. I just remember reading the Bible and not understanding a single word that I'm reading, and her telling me questions, and I have to answer them, and I'm answering them the wrong way. Yeah, it's a horrible memory. I vividly remember on multiple occasions. 6 hours, 4 hours straight, reading the Bible. I vividly remember being 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Time goes by just like that. I vividly remember eating breakfast. I'm only allowed to go if I need to go to the bathroom, and I can't be too long to go to the bathroom. And then before I know it, it's dinner time. I vividly remember reading the Bible as if it was a full-time job, and my mom loved it. She still does it. She reads the Bible so many hours of the day. And there's nothing wrong with it. It was just that as a kid, I just have that vivid memory of being forced to read the Bible for 8 hours on a weekend. It wasn't every day. It was like a Friday night, Saturday, Sundays, especially during the summer. During the summer was painful because it was every day, because didn't have an excuse, because I did not have school, I did not have homework, so it was the Bible every day, or at least on the weekends. It was at least like 2 times a week, 1 week minimum, but always about 2 times a week, just 8 hours straight. And when you're a kid, the last thing you want to do is just read. It's the last thing you want to do. But look at me now, right here. I'm reading the Bible, but I'm doing it on my own terms. I'm not reading the Bible every day. I feel like that would be too much just for me personally. I like the way that I'm doing it right now. Question 8. What encouraged you the most about God's promises? I don't know how to answer that, because God, I don't really know how to answer that. God hasn't made any promises to me. But if he does, hypothetically, if God does give me a promise, I know that I can count on them, because God does not lie. And it is for my own good, and it means that my future is under control, so I picked all the above. I picked all the above. You know, I don't have to believe in God to understand God. Does that make sense? I do not have to believe in God to understand him. I understand his quota. I understand what he's about. So if God tells me something is going to happen, it's going to happen. I've learned that the hard way, just from reading the Bible. You know, when he says that he's going to flood the earth, he's going to flood the earth. If he tells you to build a goddamn ark, you build that goddamn ark. You know what I mean? He does not lie. Which I respect. God is a man of his word. It's question 9. Which of God's promises do you most need to hear right now? I will deliver you from bondage to your enemies. What? Oh, this is nice. This is nice. This is nice. So I picked this. Which of God's promises do you most need to hear? I picked, I will forgive your sins, I will take care of you, and I will help you find your peace. I'll help you find your place. I picked that because, for one, I'm at a place in my life where I don't need guidance. I know what to do. It's just that I just need money. I apply to jobs, and I keep getting rejected. And then 2, I can't apply for a job at McDonald's or someplace, because I can't stand for long periods of time. So I have to really be careful on what jobs I do apply for. So the job market for me is really small right now. Oh, my dog is here. My dog is here. My dog is here. I'm almost done, buddy. Give me 5 minutes. And then in terms of taking care of me, I want God to take care of me in terms of telling me that everything's gonna be okay. I picked that He will forgive my sins, but that's the thing though. I don't really want God to forgive me for my sins. In terms of, I know that being a homosexual is a sin in the eyes of God, but I don't want it to be seen as a bad thing in God's eyes. Like, I'm a homosexual, okay, so what? It's one of those things where I don't feel the need that I need to be forgiven because I'm homosexual. Does that make sense? I don't want to have that thought in my head of, I have to be forgiven because this is who I am. I don't want to think like that. I'm a homosexual and that's that. Why can't God love me for who I am? I don't want to have to ask to be forgiven for my sins. It's not like I kill people. You know, like I don't do drugs, I don't commit any sort of crime. But in terms of speaking with God and, talking about the Bible, I guess I will have to ask God to be more open-minded and to ask God for Him to forgive me for being a homosexual, because I'm always going to be that. It's hypothetically I could not be that. I could go out and be married to a guy, but I wouldn't be very happy with my life. I would be highly uncomfortable and looking like a girl. I really would. Does that make sense to people that are listening and watching? I don't. For me, being a homosexual, I hate that I have to ask to be forgiven. I haven't killed people. I don't. I'm a good person. I know that. I'm a good person. I know that. So that's what I'm having trouble with. I have to go. My dogs are barking. Anyway, thank you for this lesson. It was nice. I gotta go. Dogs are barking.